I'm one of those people in the kitchen that just opens up the pantry, picks out a couple ingredients, and then makes dinner. But my husband, however, he loves to bake. He loves the science of baking. He loves to measure and to weigh. He loves the whole process of kneading dough and then letting it rise and then punching it down and then kneading it again. And it's way too tedious for me. But lo and behold, this bread lover found a man who makes bread. Yeah. It's kind of a miracle to me, actually, when I really think about it. Bread is just flour, yeast, salt, water, and heat. Those are the only ingredients. Granted, there is a long process to make it turn out the way that it does. There's a very specific way we have to put those ingredients together, but for something so good, and for something so rich, and for something that we all claim that we need to nourish us. My goodness, it's just 4 simple ingredients. I love the fact that today of all days, I'm going to get to that gospel lesson, but today of all days, the collect of the day that I read at the beginning of the service is about how Jesus is the bread of life. All we need. In today's gospel lesson, Jesus heals a blind man. And not just any blind man, it's a blind man that everybody is aware of. He's always out. He's always asking for money. He's always reminding people that he's blind. The whole community knows him. Jesus comes along, and the blind man says, "Heal me." And Jesus does the weirdest thing in maybe all of the New Testament. He spits on the ground. He makes mud out of his own saliva and dirt. And then kind of poo, he rubs it on the man's eyes. He tells him to go wash off in a river, and suddenly he can heal. He can see, he's healed. Have a moment. Jesus doesn't whip up some magic potion. Jesus doesn't ask for the hand of God to come down from the sky like a miracle. Jesus doesn't pull out a magic wand and dub him able to see. There's no fancy business in this healing. It is just simple spit and dirt. That's it. And it heals him. The first century understanding of blindness is very different than ours now in 2026. In the first century, 2,000 years ago, the way they understood light, very different. We know that light comes from the outside, but first century folks, they believed that if you could see, it was your eyes shedding light on the world. So like this backwards way of thinking for us, right? So the idea is that if you were born blind, you must come from parents who were big-time sinners. Or if you became blind, you must have done something to turn off the light inside of you. You must have really messed up. They believed that most ailments were punishment for sin. Thank goodness we are not there anymore. But can you imagine if it was true that we could only see because there's a light inside of us? These light bulbs were just shedding light on them. It's a bizarre concept, but it makes this healing so much more powerful. The whole community thinks that this man is blind because his parents messed up. The whole community thinks that he has no light inside of him. The whole community believes that if only he had led a better life or come from better people, he would be just like them. And then Jesus, with just spit and mud, turns the light on. Healed. I love thinking about the way miracles come about in the Bible. You might notice that a lot of times it's so right from the earth. Even Jesus, is part human, right? Well, we believe equal parts human and God to intermix together, but even Jesus, his feet get dirty. He was born of a woman. Even Jesus, just like bread, comes from the earth, just like us. From dust you were born, and from dust you shall return. Jesus lives in that dust with us. I, for one, think it's beautiful and good news that we don't have to look for miraculous, shiny, magic wands for God to show up. We don't have to look beyond anything than what we've been given. Dirt, mud, flour, yeast, water, salt, all of the things that these miracles are made of, they come from the earth. Bread has a particular place in Scripture, even going as far back as the book of Genesis, with 3 mysterious strangers appear to Abraham and Sarah to tell them they're going to have a baby. The first thing Sarah does is bake them a loaf of bread. My goodness. Jesus is invited over to Mary and Martha's house for dinner. He brings all of his friends, and Martha gets a bad rap in this story, but you know what she's doing? She's baking bread to feed Jesus and his brothers. Miracle after miracle happen in Scripture, and sometimes there's no explanation. Sometimes we don't know the ingredients, but in today's miracle, the ingredients come from the earth and come from the man that is Jesus. So, this week and beyond, as you carry on with your Lent, on the days when you're feeling particularly scarce, like you don't have much, I invite you to look around at all that God has given to us naturally. Our bodies, as broken and as painful as they sometimes are. I have arthritis, y'all. But my body is a miracle, and it came from the dirt. Sunlight, what a miracle. It can be totally explained by science. So natural. The flowers that are beginning to grow, my goodness, nobody went out there and sprinkled fairy dust to make them bloom. They were seeds pushed into dirt and fed by water. There are little miracles all around us, and we don't have to look further than our own 2 eyes in order to see them. Thanks be to God. Amen.